This is sports handicapper Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review, and I am taking a look at the MLB overnight lines for the games taking place on Tuesday, June 7th. Let's get right to it and start with the Kansas City Royals taking on the Baltimore Orioles in a big-time American League matchup. And here is my good friend back on the mound again. I'm talking about Ubaldo Jimenez, a guy that I've been repeatedly betting against, start in and start out pretty much at this point. He's been a bet against pitcher for me for weeks, and I'm not at all about to abandon that ship here as he takes the mound Tuesday night against Kansas City. The struggles continue for Jimenez. He's yielded 5 runs or more now in 5 consecutive starts. He's allowed 28 runs in 21.2 innings during that span, 16 walks, 13 strikeouts. He has not fared well against Kansas City in the past, 16 runs allowed in 16.2 innings of work in 3 starts against them since 2014. So I think the struggles will continue here for Jimenez, even in his last start against Boston when he was doing pretty well for the first 5 innings, and then all of a sudden the roof caved in on Jimenez in the 6th inning against Boston of that last start. We cashed an over the total winner with that game, and I'll be looking to do the same here because on the flip side, as much as I don't trust Jimenez, do I trust Yordano Ventura? Do I want to take a ride on the Ventura Highway? I don't want to take a ride on that highway, to be honest with you. I think I might crash if I do that because Yordano Ventura is a guy, I can't figure out this guy from start to start, and really he's a guy that I don't trust very much these days either to get hitters out. His road ERA, not great. 6 road starts, a 5.06 ERA for Ventura away from home. Look at the control issues he's had away from home as well. 23 walks, 17 strikeouts, and 32 innings pitched away from home for Yordano Ventura. He's pitched twice here at Camden Yards in the past, and he allowed 8 runs in 11.1 innings in those 2 previous starts here in Baltimore, and both of those games soared over the total, and I'd expect a similar result here. Total sitting at 9 in this game. I'm look to play the Royals and Orioles over the total of 9 on Tuesday night. Think we might see some runs there between the Royals and Orioles, 2 suspect starters as we continue to fade Ubaldo Jimenez as he takes the mound again here on Tuesday. Let's take a look at an interleague game now for the Tuesday, June 7th card. The Oakland Athletics taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. And yeah, on paper, this is not a very sexy matchup. It's 2 mediocre teams at best. I understand that. I get that. But you got to talk about it because I think Sean Manaea, the lefty for Oakland, who has definitely got all kinds of potential, highly touted prospect years ago when he was drafted. Oakland traded for him in the Ben Zobrist deal last year with the Kansas City Royals, and it's really taken Sean Manaea, not atypical of young pitchers, it's taken him some time to get comfortable. There's no question about that, but I've really started to see him settle down quite a bit in his last few starts. Some real positives from Sean Manaea. He's got electric stuff. He's allowed 3 runs or less now in 3 of his last 4 starts. Those early walk issues have declined a little bit, at least 8 walks to 19 strikeouts over those last 4 starts. That's definitely good. And you'll look at his road ERA and it says 27, but hold on now. That was one sole rotten road start that really are skewing that road ERA for Manaea. It was against Boston at Fenway Park. Tough lineup for a guy that was, just beginning his major league career, and he got hit hard in that start, no question about that, but it's really left him his road numbers really out of whack because of that one bad outing. And as a result, you're probably getting a little bit of a value in the betting markets with Manaea because that horrendous one bad outing against Boston is really skewing his numbers overall. And let's be honest, he gets now to go to face Milwaukee after facing teams like Boston, Houston, Seattle, Texas. He's faced some pretty good lineups in his first 7 starts in the major leagues with Oakland. Now you go to face Milwaukee, a mediocre Brewers lineup, a team that's just hitting .230 this season as a team against lefties. So I think Sean Manaea can go to Milwaukee here and have a pretty good start for the Athletics in this game. It should be a bit of a step down in class for him. And on the flip side, what do you do with Zach Davies? I mean, Zach Davies is a guy that I thought was a bet against pitcher, and I'm not totally convinced that his last start, even though it was a brilliant start against St. Louis, changes things. It was a surprise domination out of nowhere for Davies against St. Louis, 8 innings of shutout baseball, but his ERA, which is 4.53, you look at those peripheral numbers, the advanced metrics, FIP, xFIP, right in line with that ERA. So it still goes to show that, even though Davies is coming off a great outing against St. Louis, he's still a guy that's his stuff is really not all that great. The advanced numbers so far are proving that. His walks per 9 innings at 2.72, his strikeouts per 9 innings at 6.89. Those aren't great numbers by any stretch. His swinging strike rate, that's worth noting that it's declined as well from 10% last year to 8% this season. So I'm still not buying in completely to Zach Davies. Give him credit for pitching well against St. Louis, but that was a getaway day game. I think the Cardinals were resting a couple of guys in their lineup in that game as well. So let's see if Davies can back it up with another strong outing here against the Oakland Athletics. I have a hard time believing he will. These pitchers that come out of nowhere really and have just a dominant outing. He had pitched okay at times before that, Davies, but I'm not ready to jump on the Zach Davies bandwagon and believe after that great outing against St. Louis in his last start that he can continue it here. And I like the price with Oakland. You get a nice solid plus price underdog price with Sean Manaea in this start. And a guy that's really starting to settle in. I think he's got the stuff. He just needed to settle down, harness it a little bit better, negate the walks, and recently he's shown signs of doing that. So I think Manaea is offering up betting value now, and there is a buy sign, I think, on this guy. So I'm going to recommend Oakland at the plus 115 underdog price to get the victory here against Milwaukee. I think Sean Manaea could be a bet-on pitcher for the Oakland Athletics here in the weeks to come. A couple other games quickly for the Tuesday, June 7th baseball card. Colorado and the Dodgers. Jose Urias back on the mound here for Julio Urias on the mound here for the LA Dodgers, a guy that has been a highly touted prospect, a guy that many people have said could be the future ace of this Dodgers rotation, or at least one of their top 2 or 3 pitchers for sure. I don't think he's going to bump Clayton Kershaw from that perch anytime soon, but the problem I have with how the Dodgers handled this is just the choice, the timing of giving Urias his first start. I don't agree with doing it against the Mets and the Cubs on the road. 2 pretty good National League teams, 2 pretty good National League lineups. I think this is the game where he should have started at home. A little bit more comfort, a little bit more just at ease pitching at Dodger Stadium for Urias. I just think they rushed him. It was a bad decision to start him when they did, and we've seen Urias struggle in his first 2 starts against the Mets and the Cubs on the road. It is going to take him time. We have to remember that. Even though Julio Urias is one of the top pitching prospects, not only in the Dodgers organization, but in baseball, he's only 19 years old. He's going to need time to settle in and get familiar with the major leagues. We certainly showed signs of that in his first 2 starts. He only lasted 2.2 innings against the Mets, allowed 3 runs there, 6 runs on 8 hits in 5 innings against the Cubs in his last start. But maybe now he returns home, he gets to settle in a bit, can have a much better outing here back home, making his first home start at Dodger Stadium against the Colorado Rockies. Rockies is a lineup has been a little bit hot and cold, inconsistent, and it showed in the San Diego series. They only scored 3 runs in the first 2 games of that series before exploding for 10 runs in the series finale. So maybe Urias can settle in and finally get a good start under his belt. I do know one thing. I'm not exactly ready to trust Eddie Butler for the Colorado Rockies. He's a guy at 2.66 ERA, but 7.80 ERA in his last 3 starts. He has been better on the road this year than he's been at home, but still not a guy I firmly trust in this spot. I'd be probably lean to the LA Dodgers at the minus 140, minus 145 price in this game, but I'm going to hold off on it because I just want to see Julio Urias get that first start at home under his belt, and let's see if maybe now that he's back home can turn things around and pitch better, making his first start, making his Dodger Stadium debut here for the LA Dodgers. I think Toronto might be a reasonable betting opportunity as well as they take on the Detroit Tigers. Aaron Sanchez remains fantastic for the Blue Jays most of the season. Aside from a couple of rough starts, he's been very, very strong. His road numbers are good. Matt Boyd, on the other hand, Matt Boyd was in the Blue Jays organization. Of course, he was part of the deal that brought David Price to the Blue Jays last season. I think Matt Boyd, is a guy that the Blue Jays lineup should know pretty pretty well. They shouldn't be fooled or not expect what's coming from Matt Boyd. They should know this guy's arsenal pretty well. From a pitching perspective. So I think the Jays will be able to have some quality at bats and put some good swings together against Matt Boyd, a guy they should be pretty familiar with. So minus 125 is the price with Toronto as a road favorite in that game. I'd lean to the Blue Jays there to get the victory. Like what I'm seeing from Aaron Sanchez, like what I'm seeing from the Jays as a team. You know, they've taken 2 out of 3 games from the Boston Red Sox. In back-to-back weekends, a team they're chasing down for first place in the American League East. So the Jays are starting to put some things together, and I think with Sanchez, they have a little bit of a pitching edge over Matt Boyd as they take on the Detroit Tigers on Tuesday. All right, that pretty much has covered all the games I wanted to talk about for the Tuesday, June 7th card. That will wrap up our MLB Overnight Lines video segment, previewing the games for Tuesday, June the 7th. I'm sports handicapper Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review. As always, check out sportsbookreview.com every day for the latest live odds, betting articles, and betting videos. Until next time, enjoy the games and good luck.